The NFL show is brought to you, of course, as always, by manscaped.com. Promo code TGT20, 20% off your first purchase, and you won't nick your nuts. And somebody who can attest to that, I am your host, Mike Goodpaster. I can attest that it won't nick your nuts, and so can Sam Teets. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing great, Mike. How about you?
All right. I just look forward to saying that all day. I even tweeted it out today. I don't even care who cares. It's fun to say.
You always come up with good slogans for this kind of stuff.
See, they should just use me as a marketing guy. All right, we're going to start off last night. The Seattle Seahawks, 23 to Philadelphia Eagles, 17. It was hardly the offensive showing that Russell Wilson has treated viewers to in the 2020 campaign. He kind of simmered rather than cooked. And this was a game similar to that Tampa Bay game against Kansas City, where it never really seemed like the Seahawks were going to lose. But the game ends up relatively close at the end. Russell Wilson, 23 for 31, no interceptions, 230 yards. He had a beautiful touchdown pass on a goal line fade. But it is what it is. The Seahawks got the win. The Eagles are still struggling. And I was a big Doug Peterson fan, but the more I watch him, the more I wonder what the hell he's doing. Why wouldn't he kick the field goal at the start of the fourth quarter?
I mean, this is what I've kind of been hitting at you the last couple of weeks here. Is there's been a lot of issues with Doug Pearson and the play calling in Philadelphia this year. And it's not just held back to this past weekend. It's been for a couple of weeks now where they're continuously putting Carson Wentz in tough situations. I even watched a breakdown earlier today about what was going on in Philadelphia. There was a situation where they called a max protect play for Wentz on 2nd and 19, I believe, against Dallas when they played Dallas earlier this year. And, of course, Dallas was not biting. Dallas only rushed 4 people because it's 2nd and 19. They're not going to run the ball. So, basically, Wentz rolled out, and everyone's double covering. He's only 2 receivers downfield. So, that's been what's happening all year long. They've had play calls like this. They've decided to go for it on 4th down. They went on 4th down, I think, a couple times last night. I think they missed all of them. And, really, it's not a good team right now. It's not a good team. Carson Wentz is totally in his own head, and Doug Peterson, for whatever reason, is not helping him.
Well, and the offensive line doesn't help either. He was sacked 6 times, but a lot of that, from what you just talked about, goes to that, which is the play calling, which doesn't help him out. 25 for 45 for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. This team's still firmly somehow in the playoff race. I think they're only a half game out of first. And right now, though, the Washington Redskins are a better team, and I'm not so sure that the Giants and Cowboys aren't better also.
I think the Giants are certainly a better team right now. It will come down to whether or not Daniel Jones plays here in this coming weeks, because I know Colt McCoy right now looks like he's going to be the starter for at least 1 week, so that could throw them off a little bit. They do have a tough end of the season. I mean, the Philadelphia doesn't have an easy stretch either. I mean, if you look at the rest of their schedule, the Packers next week, then the New Orleans Saints, then the Cardinals, they get the Cowboys, so you'll probably win that game, and then they finish off against Washington. That's not an easy end to the year, especially you're talking about Dallas and potentially Washington both being better teams than Philadelphia at this point.
Well, I don't know if they're better teams, but they're definitely playing better right now. At least Washington is. I don't know about Dallas. Dallas is kind of a mess also. The Seahawks defense is adding Carlos Dunlap and, getting some injured players back into secondary has been better. I think right now, even though they didn't look great last night, what I saw actually gives me more hope for a playoff run for Seattle than what I saw, the 3 or 4 weeks before that.
Well, absolutely. I think they're getting in the rhythm with Jamal Adams. The way they're using him on blitzes has been phenomenal so far. And Carlos Dunlap, I'll tell you what, he's revived that defensive line almost by himself. I mean, talk about getting guys like Jaron Reed involved, bringing some of the younger guys like Rasheem Green, making sure they're getting sacks, LJ Collier. They're getting players involved here now that Carlos Dunlap's there. And it does not look good for Cincinnati reflecting on that move now. They got Carlos Dunlap wreaking havoc in Seattle.
It never looks good for Cincinnati. All right, we're going to go to the quarterback power rankings. And this week, of course, I'm sure you'll have Patrick Mahomes number 1. And we've got Mahomes at number 1, Aaron Rodgers at 2, Russell Wilson at 3, Deshaun Watson at 4. I will make this claim. The best quarterback on this list is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and you've been saying that now for a little while. I don't know
if last year, if you remember.
You did actually. I do remember that. I do remember calling you crazy at the time. I still think you're a little out there, just a little bit. I wouldn't call him the best quarterback on this list, but certainly this is a guy who should win an MVP at some time during his career.
Yeah, I mean, he torched the Detroit Lions. Everybody does that. But he's torched the Detroit Lions, and I don't know that he's got more talent than them. Russell Wilson is just, he's consistently good, if nothing else. Aaron Rodgers was spectacular, but he was playing the Chicago Bears. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. You always get this with him. He always gives you a chance, a team to win the game. I think Mahomes should be number one, but I would put right now, I would probably go Wilson at 2, Watson at 3, Rodgers at 4.
Really, you move Rodgers down to 4? I mean, he had 4 touchdowns against a Chicago defense that you cited not a couple of shows ago. That was a pretty good defense. You defended them, thinking they could be higher.
I will defend the defense, but I can tell you this too: when your offense is constantly going 3 and out and turning the ball over, a good defense all of a sudden gets tired and gets run out of the building. And I think we're starting to see that more and more with the Bears, and that's why you made the comment the other day that right now they're playing about as bad as anybody.
Yeah, that's true. I did say that. They are a bottom 5 team in the NFL right now, regardless of how many wins they have. Aaron Rodgers is leading the NFL with 33 passing touchdowns, so only 4 interceptions. I think you have to keep him in the top 3. Even if you switch him with down to 3, he has to be top 3 in my opinion.
I still like Watson better, and I think Wilson's played better. I think they've both played better, and I think Aaron Rodgers has played great. I think with the top 4, I think Patrick Mahomes is hands down number 1. I think your 2, 3, and 4 are interchangeable, and I think any order you put them in. I don't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers at number 2. I just prefer Wilson and Watson right now, but not by that much. And really, I think it's just because I think they're better quarterbacks than Aaron Rodgers. And that may be crazy, but that's just my opinion. Number 5, Ryan Tannehill. Number 6, Josh Allen. Number 7, Big Ben. Number 8, Tom Brady. I think you're pretty much right on here. I would actually, if I had to be honest about this, I would put Big Ben at number 5 for the way he's played this year.
Yeah, I had him up there last week. I moved him down a little bit because there have been some situations where I think he could have done a little bit better. I don't know how much of it is Ben, how much of it is just the play calling right now is a little bit strange in Pittsburgh. And obviously, I'm not trying to put it all on the coaches. I understand Ben has some control of that as well. But the play calling has been not playing to the strengths he usually has had in the past. I still like Big Ben. I still think he's going to be up there. And I did move him down slightly because I haven't seen him this week. He didn't play. He doesn't play until Wednesday night, or Wednesday evening. So I haven't seen him play this week.
Well, and I think Ryan Tannehill's a guy that gets underrated by a lot of people just because you got Derrick Henry there. And when you look at the Tennessee Titans, the O-line's good, the running back's good, the quarterback's good, the wide receivers are good, and the defense is getting better. I still think, and I think Buffalo and Tennessee are the biggest challengers to the Chiefs. And Tennessee, I think, is the team that matches up best with Kansas City.
Well, we even saw it last year in the playoffs. I mean, the Titans pushed Kansas City for a little while in that game. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Because I think with Derrick Henry, they don't have a lot of run stoppers in Kansas City. They really don't. Chris Jones is a pass rushing defensive tackle. So is Frank Clark, a defensive end. They don't have a traditional inside linebacker who's that dominant force. I think Derrick Henry could have a field day if he goes against Kansas City, unless, of course, Kansas City specializes some kind of defense out there to stop him. Really, this is a better Tennessee team this year than it was last year, I think.
I don't know that you can specialize a defense to stop him. You know, it's kind of like Earl Campbell in 78 and 79, where he destroyed everybody but the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it wasn't the fact that the Steelers did anything special. They just had better players. The problem with Kansas City is I don't see a defense that has that. Last year, they played really well, starting about this point. I don't see that happening right now. And I think if you get a Tennessee-Kansas City game, the big thing here is who goes up first. Because if it's like last year and Tennessee jumps up 14 or 21 points, I mean, Kansas City's going to make a run at him, but I don't see him being able to stop Derrick Henry enough to actually come from behind and win a game like that.
Yeah, it'd be much harder this year, I believe, because of what Tennessee has. And the Titans don't have to solely rely on Derrick Henry this year. They have A.J. Brown, who's coming into his own. They have Corey Davis, who's having a career year. Tannehill, I would argue, is just as good this year as it was last season. So really, you have so many pieces around Derrick Henry right now that it's not just Derrick Henry you have to defend against. I don't know that Kansas City's defense is built to handle that many options.
All right, number 9, Kirk Cousins, who, if it wasn't for the first 5 games of the season, might be playing at the top 5 level right now. I hate to say that because we always make fun of our friend Sam McGinnis, who ranked him 6 at the start of the year. But right now, Kirk Cousins is up to 9 and 34 for 45, 307, 3 touchdowns. I mean, Kirk Cousins is playing as well as anybody right now.
Yeah, in the past 5 games, he's completing over 72% of his passes for 12 touchdowns and just 1 interception. He's a 124.3 rating those past 5 games. He's playing just about as well as anybody, which is why he's up here in the top 10, which is something I would never have anticipated at the start of this year based on how poorly the first, I want to say, 4 or 5 games of the year went. Because he was really stinking it up. There was a time where him and Carson Wentz were battling out for the league lead in interceptions, and now he's pulled the season back. really quite fantastically, which is something I did not expect from him. Of course, I believe Dalvin Cook has gotten a little bit hotter over that stretch, and the play calling has gotten better in Minnesota.
All right, number 10, Phillip Rivers. I mean, he played worse, I thought, right? Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr. This list all of a sudden has gotten shorter from previous weeks with people playing well. I think the list is probably at about 9 or 10, maybe 11. I still think Justin Herbert has a tendency to miss the passes he shouldn't, and he turns the ball over a little bit more than what he should. Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray, which means he is a dynamic playmaker, but he can be shut down. Phillip Rivers, I think over the last month, number 10 would be good. And there's nobody really below that I would see that I would actually move over him, even though he didn't play great last week. I think Derek Carr at 13 is way too low. I know he played a horrible football game, but Derek Carr for the season has been better than Herbert. He's been better than Murray. He's been better than Rivers. He's been better than Cousins through the entirety of the season. I would still rank him at number 9. I don't care that he had a bad game. I think people are forgetting the fact that outside of Josh Jacobs running the ball and Darren Waller catching the ball, there's not a lot of options here. And I know it was horrible this one week. I don't think he'll be horrible next week. And I think what we've seen from Derek Carr is he hasn't really strung together 2 bad games in a row. He's been consistently good. I'm just going to say that this is a blip on the radar.
Yeah, I expect him to rebound too because he's playing the New York Jets this week. So I expect him to play very well in week 13. But right now, I mean, he had a career-high 4 turnovers in one game. It's hard to not move him down the list because of that. I understand what you're saying. He has outplayed a lot of the guys ahead of him on this list the past couple throughout the entire year. But for this past weekend, 4 turnovers is unacceptable. And 6 points against the Atlanta Falcons team. They got torched by Taysom Hill the previous week. That doesn't look good.
Did they really get torched by Taysom Hill?
Well, Taysom had 250 passing yards, and they won pretty handily. They scored 20, like 8 points or something like that.
I mean, come on. He didn't torch them. Alvin Kamara is pretty good, too, and so is that Saints defense. 14, Matt Ryan. 15, Teddy Bridgewater. 16, Alex Smith. 17, Lamar Jackson. I think Teddy Bridgewater's actually played better than Matt Ryan this year.
I think so too, but this past weekend was a little bit different. I think Bridgewater had one bad turnover. If you watch the play, he kind of when he throws that one pass, it's a route coming across the field, and he misses the receiver by about 5 yards. His defensive back instead. So that one play was really bad for him. Overall, Matt Ryan, of course, had a much better day. The one turnover he had against Las Vegas was just a deflected pass, and he was doing it without Julio Jones or Todd Gurley, which is why I have him above Bridgewater this week.
All right, I think this Lamar Jackson at 17 is too low. He should be ahead of Alex Smith. He should be ahead of Alex Smith. That's about it to me because Alex Smith, when I watched him against Washington, it's basically he's just dinking the ball. He's not really throwing it deep. He's letting the defense work. He's letting the running game work. He's playing well for what he is. I don't know if I would put him ahead of Lamar Jackson or Jared Goff right now.
I mean, that's fair. I completely could agree with that. I think Alex Smith to me it's a little bit of a. It's hard to keep your thoughts out of it because obviously you have Alex Smith who's overcome so much, and maybe that makes me want to put him up higher and higher on the list than he should be. Maybe it's blinding me from like the skill level maybe isn't there what it was in the past. It's incredible what he's done though. I mean, it's hard to overlook what he's done being Dallas on Thanksgiving Day after not playing for basically a year and a half, 2 years. Maybe that's why I'm
beating Dallas is such a tough chore.
You're right. It's not big this year, but probably for him, it's very, I guess, symbolic.
Yeah. Well, it's a big win just because of the NFC East. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick's way too low.
He's down 20 this week.
I think
part of that
is should be more like 16.
Probably based on how quarterbacks played this past weekend. Because let's be honest, there was maybe 4 or 5 QBs that played well this weekend. Everyone else was terrible.
Well, I think for the totality of it, when he's played, he has not played bad.
No, he's been pretty solid. I mean, he's got looking at his his season stats right now: 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But he's 4-3 as a starter, completing about 69% of his passes. I mean, that's pretty good. That's not obviously great, but if you're talking about putting that at a 15 spot, that seems pretty fair. And of course, he would be lower if Jared Goff and Andy Dalton had really good week 11s, just didn't play well at all in week 12.
Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick has played much better than Andy Dalton this year. Jared Goff is a guy that I think we have discovered is probably for the rest of his career going to stick somewhere between 12th and 20th.
Yeah, he kind of pinned balls up and down this list left and right. I mean, look at what he did last week against Tampa Bay. That's a big win there. And then turns to San Francisco and basically hits the ball over 3 times. Doesn't do much of anything offensively. This is a guy who has a good ceiling, but he just never reaches it. He never gets that far, and his floor is much lower than I think people anticipated.
Yeah, and poor Matt Stafford. That's all I'm going to say. If I was the Indianapolis Colts, I would make a serious run getting Matt Stafford on my team.
Yeah, because I don't know, like Philip Rivers is getting up there in age. You see sometimes, even when he's throwing the ball, he looks a little labored, looks like he's putting a lot of effort into trying to fling the ball downfield. Stafford's much more naturally gifted, I think, right now, and obviously much younger. If I can get Stafford on my team and I'm Indianapolis, I'd trade for him, try to draft a receiver, and hope I can get something going.
22, Mike Glennon. I never thought I would ever see Mike Glennon ranked that high.
Listen, this tells you just how bad some quarterbacks played this past weekend. But Mike Glennon, for what it's worth, he had the best game of his career since his rookie season. I mean, this is a guy who had a really good outing with a really terrible Jacksonville Jaguars offense.
All right. Yeah, this goes to hell. I mean, is there anything else to talk about? Number 23, Daniel Jones. I think he should be ranked higher. I think he should be above a guy like Mike Glennon. My God. 24, Baker Mayfield should be a little higher. 25, Nick Mullins, I think, should be higher. Carson Wentz. Yeah. Sam Darnold. Yeah. Taysom Hill. Cam Newton should be above Taysom Hill.
I mean, Cam Newton this past weekend, had the worst game of his career.
But your power rankings can't beat us of won a game. And I don't care how bad he played. He won.
He did.
Okay. So that's more important than what your stats are, isn't it?
Well, so did Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill also won.
Well, yeah, he's with the Saints, and they were playing who? A team
Denver.
without a quarterback.
That's true.
Okay. 30, Mitchell Trubisky. How do you rank him that high? 31, Brandon Allen. 32, Kendall Hinton. You know what? Kendall Hinton probably never thought he would be one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the world.
No, he probably never did. I mean, as a practice squad wide receiver, never really anticipated getting on the field on game day. But, that was – I guess it's something he'll remember. I guess you can only laugh about it. Like, if you're a Kendall Hinton, you can't really, fault yourself for anything that happened on Sunday.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, when you look at this, now the Ravens are playing the Steelers on Wednesday at 3:40.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I absolutely hate it. I mean, when I thought the NFL couldn't have made a worse decision on what they had already done, they somehow found a way to make a worse decision than what they had already done. It's just fantastic how they constantly keep screwing this up.
So my thing is this. Why will they bend over backwards for this Ravens-Steelers game, but they won't let the Broncos sign a quarterback to play an NFL football game with?
So apparently there's rules about the contact tracing, all that stuff. They have conducted the contact tracing with Denver, but they couldn't bring a new guy in. So you have to sit out for a certain period of time.
Denver wanted their coach or one of their coaches to play quarterback. He was already there. He's already into contact tracing. Why couldn't you let him play? And I know that the NFL came up with some bullshit explanation about how, they don't want players stockpiled as coaches on an NFL team. But this is kind of a unique situation, I would think, that will hopefully only ever happen in this year. And don't we want the games to be competitive? I mean, damn, come on. That was a joke.
Yeah, especially because you picked Denver to win that game. So I'll tell you that right now. That was –
Oh, I picked that before I ever knew they were going to have a quarterback.
Yeah, so. I know. Yeah, it is – I don't understand that.
That was like a 10-3 game at halftime.
Yeah, it was closer than you would expect it, but really, yeah, they should have been able to sign that coach. I mean, really, the NFL at this point, and they've always done this, though, they draw lines at ridiculous positions. They make stands they shouldn't have to make. They should have been able to get that coach. They should have been able to play with that coach. We know they should have been able to do that, but they didn't allow it for whatever reason. And I don't get it. Because you're trying to play this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. And you're now moving on a Wednesday in the evening when people aren't even going to be around to watch it because a lot of people are going to be at work. You played that Denver-New Orleans game, which wasn't competitive at all. I don't know why would anyone want to watch that.
On the bright side, though, there's more unemployed people than normal, so a lot of people will get to watch the football game if they can afford to pay their cable bill.
Yeah, look at that. Maybe your ratings will actually be higher than you expect. But really, I mean, I don't understand it at this point. You got to figure something out here. This is getting to be insane with how much you're pushing this back. And honestly, at this point, I'm not even sold you're going to be able to play on Wednesday. So at this point, you're just moving this stuff back. Why not just tell teams, make a decision earlier than pushing it back 3 or 4 times?
Steelers and Ravens, when are they playing on Sunday still? next week, or did they move that?
Pittsburgh is playing on, I want to say Monday. Let me look at the schedule real quick. I think they moved the Pittsburgh-Washington game, which is the next one up. They have moved that one back already. I know that. So that one's being played. Yeah, Pittsburgh-Washington is now being played on Monday. That was originally scheduled for Sunday. They moved that one back. And I'm going to pull up Baltimore right now. Baltimore is now playing on Tuesday of next week. So
this is ignorant.
This is crazy. If you just cancel,
either play the game or make them forfeit the game.
Yeah. If you had just forfeited the game early on, you would not have to move either of those games, the Washington or the Baltimore one.
And you know what? You forfeited because you didn't want to play, because they could have given them the choice of playing, right? I mean, they did that for New Orleans or Denver. Denver made the decision instead of forfeiting, they were going to play with Kendall Hinton.
Oh, yeah, of course you're going to play. I mean, that's first off, you don't get paid if you don't play. That's how it is in the NFL. You don't get a game check if the game isn't played.
Really? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. I could hear the sarcasm.
If it was baseball, you'd get paid anyways.
Yeah, I think that's how it works baseball. I'm not sure how the NBA does it. They probably get paid either way.
Oh, they probably get paid either way, or they'll protest.
I think, remember, it's negotiated. They changed the negotiation agreement in the NBA quite a bit. I don't know what it even is anymore.
All right. And I want everybody to remember, there is one thing that you need to really take away from this show every day.
Exactly.
That is, Sam.
It's the sponsorship.
No, it's don't nick your nuts. So you've got to go to manscaped.com for promo code TGT20 so you don't nick your nuts.
Yeah, I mean, well, we talked about this. I can personally attest to this. You won't bleed out from this. Oh, geez. I never anticipated this is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
In August. But you know what?
Talking about your nuts not bleeding out.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's fun, though. It's add something new to it. It keeps it fresh every day.
So you're actually using the ball deodorant, huh?
I knew you were going to go with that joke. I knew that's where you were going to go with it.
That's not a joke. It's true. I mean, if you stay fresh every day, you're obviously using your ball toner and your ball deodorant that comes in the package. Oh, I said package. Go ahead.
There you go. There you go. There's another joke in there. Perfect package. Wasn't that what was the joke
you were
making earlier?
It is the perfect package, and you don't want to nick your nuts on your perfect package.
How do we have 7 viewers still? Yeah, but make sure you go to...
I'm trying to get it down so we can sign off, but it just isn't working yet.
No, they're just too addicted to hearing our voices, apparently.
Yeah, you said dick, too. All right, guys. And still, nobody will leave. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap the show up. You can follow Sam Teets at Sam Teets33. We will have the NFL power rankings tomorrow, correct, Sam?
Yep, they'll be up and ready.
All right, so we will make sure you check out thegruelingtruth.com for that. And we've actually got more listeners now, so don't nick your nuts, Sam. But... all right, we're going to wrap it up. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. Make sure you check out our college football show from yesterday. And remember, you can hear the Grueling Truth every day at 1 o'clock, including tomorrow. So for Sam Teets, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to the Grueling Truth, where our nuts are